So I'm not sure if I talked about this to this extent in my videos before, because there's a few videos that I recorded and I haven't posted yet, and I've kind of gone on a rant about different topics. But basically, what I want to talk about was jumping timelines. So I talked to Chat GPT and got her to break down, what does it mean by jumping timelines? Does it mean that that negative reality doesn't exist in my reality anymore? And she broke it down in a lot of different ways. So first she was saying that how basically when you jump timelines, your reality becomes that only those who are in your frequency basically enter your reality. So it's like you won't be met with, for example, if you're vibrating in a higher frequency, you won't be met with a lot of negative experiences. Whereas if you're still on that shift of positive and negative, and going back and forth between both emotions on a consistent basis, then you're going to be faced with a lot of still negative experiences. But if you can keep your vibration high, then you're going to be met with less and less negative experiences. So that was part of it. And then, but I said to her, like, okay, so what if the Spain decides to go to war? Like, what would happen? If I'm vibrating in high frequency, then why is the place that I'm living in going to war? She's saying that basically, yes, that could happen because of the fact that even though you've changed your frequency, the collective is still operating on that frequency. So it still impacts you. It's not like you leave that world behind and you're in a new world. No, you're still in that world. Which I don't know if this ties into parallel realities, because I feel like parallel realities might be explaining something different, but that's something I need to look into. So basically, it's like, yes, you'll still be experiencing quote unquote war, let's say, but you'd be in a situation where you'd still be aligning with people who want to help, who want to change, who want to do things that are on a higher frequency. Whereas the things will still be happening around you, but your community and your circle would be trying to do different things to support or help the war, let's say, right? So that's why it's so important that no matter what frequency, that's why it's so important that we all raise our frequency. Because if we all raise our frequency, then we can get out of this paradigm where we're met with negative experiences, where people are going to war, where people don't have food on the table, where lives are being lost, where from malnourished, from war, from people being homeless, sleeping on the street, people suffering from addictions. Like, all of these things are happening because as a collective, we're not raising our frequency. So if the more of us raise our frequency, then it's like a ripple effect. Every person that you come into contact with, it's like they're triggered. They're triggered in a way where they feel like it's negative. They feel like, why do I feel uncomfortable? But it's helping to wake them up. So it's, you don't even have to say anything. They just have to be around your energy and they'll feel a shift within them. I think that's how it works, what I've heard. So if you just keep vibrating at a higher frequency, then yes, you'll still pass by people who are not the same frequency as you, but who you interact with on a day-to-day basis are going to be people who are in your frequency, or people who are allowed in to stay in your frequency are going to be those who are in a higher frequency. So it's kind of like you're going to be met with people who are negative to a degree, to test you, first of all, to see if you're staying on that frequency, and also to help them. Because when you start vibrating at a high frequency and you're not letting people be a trigger towards you, then then your job is to serve, to help them raise their frequency, not stay in our bubble and stay away from the rest of the world, but help them, help the world to raise their frequency. That's why I share these messages, because hopefully they come across people who are struggling between the two negative and positive thoughts, and what they can do to get themselves in a positive state of mind, and how they can like heal the trauma that they've had. That's why I share all these poetry, to show you what I'm experiencing, so you don't feel alone, and so you understand that, like, hey, like, this is what I do to get out of my situation. This is how I change my thought and my belief system. But am I perfect? No, far from it. I'm trying to perfect my soul so I become the best version of myself, so that I stay on a consistent basis of overcoming the next challenge, the next challenge, the next challenge, right? So that in the next lifetime, my soul is not going through the same experiences that I experienced before. And then hopefully I can escape this reality and enter into another planet, depending on everything that I've talked about before, a prison planet, blah, blah, blah. So it's so important for us. How do we raise our frequency? By pursuing our passions. Like the last few days, I've been feeling heavy. Told you, got my period, so I've been feeling heavy, and I knew that that was the reason, and I accepted that hey, that's the reason. It doesn't mean that I stopped doing what I have to do. I still worked on my passion, even though I wasn't feeling it. I still said, no, I'm going to get on the pen and paper and write. And what did it do? It started making me feel better, and recording this message started making me feel better. So it's like we don't stop doing our passion because of the way that we feel, right? And the only way that, whether in a good mood or bad mood, the only way we're going to raise this collective consciousness is by doing what we were. So if more people started working on their passion, spending a lot of time and energy into that, whenever they had free time, they worked on that, exercise, went on walks, grounded themselves in the dirt, ate healthy, put good food in their body and mind, got rid of alcohol, got rid of weed. So if we did all these things that made us feel better, and that in turn would raise our frequency, I'm not saying you're going to be perfect every day, you're going to have your moods and all this stuff, but if you're consistent with it, then you raise your frequency, and you in turn are helping the collective. By everyone that comes into contact with you, you raise their frequency as well. You help to raise their frequency. You trigger them, and then they have to do the work to choose to be awakened and go down this path or not. But if we worked as a collective, we could literally change the world. We could create this reality to be whatever we saw fit. Because as much as on an individual level you can create your little world to be what it wants, you still can't change the bigger things that are happening into the world unless as a collective we band together and raise our frequency. So it's so important to do the things that I mentioned, because in the end, in the long run, it will benefit everyone. And if we want to reach peace and sustainability and all of these things, we need to raise our frequency. That's the first step, by feeling our frequency, by doing things that make us feel good. Cool?